Happy Wednesday. It is actually after school. It has been a busy few days. We are back from February vacation and we are easing our way back into the school year. This is kind of our long slog, we can say, from the end of February all the way to our April vacation, which doesn't come until April 20th this year. So we have a solid 8 weeks to, teach a lot of things. This is this time in first grade where we are really diving into difficult math concepts, more difficult phonics concepts. We're pushing those limits on writing and we're really getting them prepared for second grade, right? The review is over. We are building. So it's a big time for academics. It's also going to be a nice time where we have this solid 8 weeks of getting that structure and routine and all of that back. Each class, each year is a little different. My class this year does really struggle with coming back from a vacation. Just to kind of get back into the consistency and the structure and the routine of everything can take them a while. So the first couple of weeks are always a little rocky. I'm trying to remind myself of that. Just getting back to those consistent procedures and routines. And it's a whole lot of, nope, we have to do that again. Nope, let's do that again. Okay, show me how we do this. And just getting back into that routine. So it is Wednesday after school, and I thought for this week's video, I will kind of pop in today and pop in a little tomorrow and just share what we are up to these days. Like I said, our academics are getting a little tricky and a little difficult, so I definitely want to take you along and share some of the activities we are doing to help teach those skills. So that being said, let me pull up my slides, let me get out some of the activities, and I will share what we've got. While I pull this up, I also feel like I always want to mention this and then completely forget, but if you are not a member of my email list, you should definitely sign up down below. My email list is where I send out emails about 3-4 times a week. And they often include freebies every Fridays. On Sundays, I do share my videos just so you have a quick and easy link. And then I also do little daily deals throughout the week where different products in my TBT store will be 50% off. And then also it's kind of the first contact I have for you all in terms of sharing like new products I've updated or anything kind of going on with my store or anything in the world of Susan Jones Teaching. So if you are not already a member of my email list, be sure to sign up down below. I will put a link in the description. I think it's always there in every video, but I realized I never kind of mention it. And some people always ask what the best way to reach me at is. And this is my easiest way to share stuff with you. And it's also the easiest way to share stuff with me. So just wanted to bring that up. All right, let me see what we have. Also, I didn't even share what I did over February vacation, mostly because it was a whole lot of nothing. If you followed my videos before break, so whatever, my last couple of videos that went out, both of my boys have been sick since basically the beginning of February. I just looked yesterday and just to take note because I'd been writing down like fevers and because it's been an ongoing thing. So Calvin got the flu on February 6th. And since then, he not only did he have the flu, but he developed a weird complication from the flu where he then couldn't walk for a few days and had to go to the hospital and get an IV bag. Everything is fine. Disaster when it was happening and very stressful, but everything is fine. So that was like a whole nother week added on to that. And then during February vacation last week, he spiked another fever. I think his immune system is just so low that any kind of little viral infection or thing going around, he's just catching. So that's been fun. And then my other son, Theo, also got the flu after Calvin. It's just been a February of sickness. During February break, was able to go to New York City with my sisters. I put this little reel over on Instagram to share our fun day. My youngest sister lives in New York City, and usually when we go, we bring the kids and we do all sorts of fun family touristy things. But this trip was just me and my sisters, and that was so nice because we got to go to great restaurants, great shows. It was so fun. But for the rest, so that was at the very beginning of the vacation week. And then for the rest of the week, we just kind of hung out at home in our pajamas, took care of our sick kids, and took a much needed break, mental health break, physical break, everything break. So that was nice. And then this week coming back, it was like, oh, we haven't done anything in a long time. So we are easing into it, like I said. All right, I have got some of the activities that we're doing. In phonics, we are diving into our unit on silent E. Now, I did mention this last year, but in case you didn't follow me last year, which many of you probably didn't, we use foundations. And foundations, they don't teach silent E until unit 11, which wouldn't come until so much later in the year. So what we do is after unit 8, which is blends, we jump ahead 2 units and we do unit 11, just to teach students that silent E a lot earlier. So that is what we're doing, and then we'll go back to 9 and 10 after that. So currently we are doing silent E. We have taught what that silent E does. One of the jobs of silent E is to make the vowel say its name. I don't know if it might be part of foundations, we just didn't get there yet and I don't remember. But I also teach them how silent E changes the C and G on the ends of words. So instead of G, it's J, the soft G and soft C. So I also introduced that today. So we've really been just taking some CVC words, applying that E, and turning it into a long vowel word. Is kind of been where we're at the last 2 days. One of the activities that I love, this is a super old freebie that I did even when I was teaching in Vegas, so many, many years ago. It's from Mrs. Pollard's class, I think. I'll link it down below. It's a freebie still on TPT. And it's just to solve the room. But instead, to make it a little more fun, instead of just like going and adding the E, they have these cute little wands that I had just made and kept and just taped it on the back. And so they go around and they have to write the word mad, and then they physically put it here and it turns into made. So there were a bunch of these around the room. Here's a couple pictures, boom, boom, of my students doing that this morning. So that was a fun little activity. I think in foundations they had an activity where they're like, move it around or let's make it fun activity of the day was to give students index cards and for them to determine if the word was a closed syllable or if it was a vowel consonant E syllable. But our closed syllables are in unit 9 and we didn't teach that. So I was just gonna say, hey, is this a CVC word or a CVCE word? But instead I decided to do a little walk around the room. Like I said, these first couple weeks back can be a lot. So instead of getting an index card and kind of moving around the room, I thought this would be an easier, have everybody up, everybody moving, and it was a hit. So I love that little activity and I use it every year. In writing, we are finally teaching personal narratives. Now this is funny to me because we've been piloting different programs this year, and the only type of writing that we have taught up to this point, because we've been doing our HMH pilot and we started the year with our EL pilot, is informational writing. That is the only type of writing my students have done and been introduced to. We have, of course, done some other little writing, just like in journals or like response sometimes in WIN, it might be an opinion, and we've talked about what an opinion is, but we have not done like an official opinion writing piece, and we have not done a personal narrative or a narrative piece. So we are finally diving into personal narratives. I think the next 2 units in HMH are going to be personal narratives. And our mentor text is The Thanksgiving Door. Interesting time to be reading it. I know we're probably about a unit behind since we are piloting, but even still, it doesn't really line up with Thanksgiving, so that's okay. This unit is going to have students kind of dive into what narrative writing is, and then they're going to end up writing a narrative or a personal narrative about a holiday that they have had and enjoyed and things like that. So what we did today is we read The Thanksgiving Door. This was our second read. And then we used a sheet like this one right here. This is what our slide basically looked like. And as I read it, we talked about words that bring visualization, that help us visualize. So if there was a word in the story that helped us picture something, we had the word conga in here. They were doing a conga line. We had burned, the word burned. She burned the dinner. It helped us put a picture in our mind. We had the word jammed. There was a potato jammed under the door. So we picked words like that, and then we also picked any word that we were unfamiliar with just to kind of write down. So all we've done with the mentor text so far is we made predictions about what the story might be about. We read the story yesterday and just wrote a response in regard to the story. And then today was this part, kind of making a word bank, thinking about the words authors use as they write. Tomorrow, we will actually go ahead, talk about the elements of a narrative story, and then we will dive into planning our own, so our pre-writing, right, our brainstorming. So we will do that tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll kind of share what that looks like and what the steps are going forward for that, for the Thanksgiving Door. And then in math, this is our big doozy of a unit. This is Unit 8, and this is where we are teaching our students double-digit addition and subtraction. So we will be teaching double-digit addition without regrouping as well as with regrouping. And then we will be teaching double-digit subtraction without regrouping and with regrouping. So that being said, today is day 3 of diving into that. I just made a whole video about how I teach place value right before this. That video is right here. It's a deep dive into how I teach place value. It has every single lesson included that we taught in there, and I even have a whole bunch of free slides that you can get to literally teach that whole thing. So our base knowledge is there, and now we're ready to take that and use it when we are adding and subtracting. So just to let you know, on Monday, we talked about what a 2-digit number is, and we just started adding ones to that number without any regrouping. And we talked about the different ways you can do that. Yesterday, we talked about a 2-digit number and just adding tens, multiples of 10, which we have done in the past. So again, we're only changing that tens place. Today was the first day that I really introduced adding 2-digit numbers, what that looks like, and again, without regrouping. So let me pull up today's slide so I can show you what that looks like. So our objective today is we can add tens and ones to a 2-digit number on the first day, just as we can add ones. Yesterday it said we can add tens. So now we have tens and ones. We have some warm-ups here. What is the sum? I am, of course, looking for students to be able to group the 5 and the 5 right away and say, oh, that's 10, and then we just have 7 more. Again, we have the 1 and the 9 to group, and then plus 3 more is 10. And this was our engage. This is fill in the number bond to show the tens and ones for each number. And my students have already been doing a great job with this. I'm very impressed how they can decompose these numbers, 20 and 2, 10 and 2, and then they've been adding the tens together to make 30 and the ones together to make 34. So this is, my goal for students at the end of the unit, and many of my students are already doing it now, so that is wonderful. And then what I did is I had students make a circle on the rug, and I had a friend read the story up here. So we have Beth has 24 berries in her basket, and over on the carpet in the middle of the floor, I had some base 10 blocks, and I had a place value mat, and I built 24. Then it says she adds 13, so then I added 13 more, and we talked about what that looked like. And then I also showed them stack math, which I will show you in a minute. That's what we call like the standard algorithm. So we have been talking about how there's different ways we can solve these problems. Now, I show students a number chart here, just from 11 to 50, and this is a build on from what we've done the past few days. So when we were just adding ones, let's say it was 25 plus 7, we circled 25, and then we say, oh, we can just count on 2 more, 26, 27. If it was 25 plus 2. Let's say it was 36 plus 3. We found it, and we just count on 3 more. 1, 2, 3, 39. Then yesterday when we did this lesson, I had another chart here, and I was like, okay, what's 27 plus 10? We circled 27. We know we just dumped down 1, 37. What's 26 plus 20? 10, 20, 46. So today I was taking that, one step further. If we're starting at 14 and we are jumping 25, we can count down 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Now, I don't think this is like a super easy way for students to do this, but I like students to understand what this looks like, right? Then, of course, we have our place value blocks. And so this, while I do show the representation, I am showing students this on the rug with actual cubes. So we build 14 first, then we add 25. Many of my students were getting a little confused because they'll go ahead and they'll start with 14, and then I say add 25, and they just build 25, like they turn it into 25 instead of adding it. So I have students build 25 on the side and then add it to the chart. So we always talk about how we start in the ones first, so we'll combine all the ones, and then we combine the tens to get 39. Now, also during this time, I think I shared this last year. I don't know. One of my teammates shared this with me. But when we do this, we always want to emphasize that we need to start in the ones column. We start with our ones when we are adding and when we are subtracting. And that can be tricky for students because they just want to dive right into the tens and ones because we're not regrouping yet. So we have we say, start in the ones, and do like a little disco move with our one finger. So I showed students that, they, cringed and were giggly, but they joined in with me. So it's start in the ones. And we would start in the ones. I'd say, okay, we're going to add these together first. And we would put the cubes all together. Then we would go to the tens and add those all together. And so we do that both with our place value mat as well as with our stack math, which let me show you our stack math. Stack math is, like I told you, what we call just the standard algorithm here, but we call it stack math because we want to stack the ones and stack the tens. And then we start on our one side, and I explain how this helps us take these big numbers, 14 and 25, and it helps us solve them by just doing smaller problems. So what's 4 plus 5? 9, we write it down. What's 1 10 plus 2 tens? 3 tens, we write it down. Our answer is 39. And then when we've done this the 3 ways, and I've showed them this, I'm like, look, we got it with cubes. We got it with a number chart. We got to 39. And we got there using stack math. These are all the different ways we can solve these problems. And then we try it ourselves, right? So we have 22 plus 24. So this is where I'm asking for student input. During these ones, during our learn section, I am modeling it, I'm talking aloud, I'm showing them how to do it. During try, I'm asking for student feedback. So 22, I had somebody come up, show me how to solve it to get the answer 46. Then I had somebody come up, they drew the blocks in here, and then we added it together. We started over here to get 46. We also did stack math. How do we get 46? Okay, so we kind of did it all the different ways. Then I'll go ahead and grab some cubes and I'll just show you what we did for our hands-on activity because we did this all together as a class. Let me grab, here we have our place value mats. Put one here. And as you can see, they're very dirty, but despite that, we have our tens place and then we have our ones place. And actually our math coach recommended that we add a little 10 frame here. It just helps students more quickly visualize the numbers and make sure they're not adding too many. So we added this and we just taped it right on top. So we have our tens and our ones, and then let me grab, here we go, is I actually have a bunch of tens and ones that everybody has in their own kind of Ziploc here, because we're gonna use these a lot through the next few weeks and months. So everybody had their mat at their seat and everybody had their cubes. Then over on the board, you can see our little activities. So we built our number. First was 27. So I had students simply go ahead, build 27. What does that look like? Boom, boom, 26, 27. So I had everybody built that and then they would write 27 right underneath it. I like that these are dry erase. That's also why they're so messy, but they can get cleaned. 27, and then I say, okay, plus 2. So I'd have students write plus 2. They're making sure they're stacking the ones under the ones. And then they would grab 2 ones and add it here. Boom, boom. Then let's see, we should have 29, right? We stack up our 7 and our 2 to make 9. And then we still have 2 tens, 29. So we solved it. The first couple are a little tricky, but I like doing this together. I can just quickly walk around to each section here. Oh, also, I forgot, I showed this earlier. We have a leak, so that's fun. So that's why this poor student has been back here at this desk, because there's a leak there. Just, you know, added fun to our day. But anyway, I can easily walk from table to table and just see who's getting it, who's not getting it, and keep practicing. So we did about 3 or 4 of these all together. So the first one was just adding some ones. Then we went ahead and we built 11 and added 17 more. Then we did 16 plus 12. And this was really where I could show students, especially when we did 11 plus 17. So many of my students built 11. And then when I said add 17, they went ahead and just made 11 17. They just added 6 ones. So like I said before, I had students, after I saw that, I said, oh, wait a second, everybody clear your board. Everybody clear your board. I said, everybody build 11. And then I said, okay, just write 11. Then, so this was like a reteaching moment. I was like, now, I said we are adding 17 plus 17. When we are adding, we need to add this whole thing. So then I had students build 17 underneath it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I said, okay, now take all of that, add it to the board. So we started in our ones, we added it over here, then we did this. They were like, oh, it's 28. Now they understood it better because they were getting a little confused there. And of course, this is going to take practice. It is only day 1 of this very tricky concept, but this is where things start building here in first grade. So yeah, we did 16 plus 12, 21 plus 18, and that was that. And then I had students put all their whiteboards and markers and erasers away, and they just came over with their regular whiteboard and marker and sat here on the rug, and we practiced stack math together. So I would just have them write 13 plus 14. I did not, some of my friends wanted to like write the whole grid, and I was like, no. This is how we do it. And they just wrote 13 plus 14. They had to stack it up like that. And then we said, start in the ones, and they did 3 + 4, 1 + 1, 27. And then we did it again for a few more. And then we didn't have time actually for this practice. There was only about 5 minutes left. I didn't have them go into their workbook. Instead, I just had an IXL skill that was starred in there that was addition. So it was basically stack math that I wanted them to start practicing. So for today's lesson, and really for the last couple lessons, there have not been too many like games or practice activities yet. These first 3 days is a lot of we're doing this all together. I definitely have them practice on their own, but I am like right there guided with them because it's so important that they understand this concept and stacking it correctly and what it really means for these numbers to be added into the tens, into the ones, and making sure we have tons of time with hands-on materials and visual representations, drawing the blocks, actually doing the abstract. So I really try to make sure that we spend a ton of time doing that. Now tomorrow we're going to do another lesson on this exact skill. So we will be doing addition again without regrouping. So we're going to review it again. I will definitely have students get out some blocks and we're going to practice a couple times together. Then I'm going to send them off and they can start playing a game with a partner called Spin and Add. I'm going to show you this. I think I shared these last week, but I love this game. It's just very simple and easy. And this will allow me to take back some of the friends that need help with this. And we'll be able to use cubes and continue. So let me show you Spin and Add. Okay, actually this is great that I have this out because I need to put these in sleeves now. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in sleeves. This is the Spin and Add mat. Once it's in the sleeve, we'll be able to reuse it over and over. And all students, with regrouping, I printed the wrong one. 1 second. We're going on a quick detour because I meant to print out without regrouping. Those ones I'll save for next week. Okay, back to business. Without regrouping, same exact concept that I was going to share anyway. So these will go in the sleeves, and all students will do is with their spinner, they will simply spin the number 22. They will write it here, 22 plus 12 plus 12. Then they will practice that stack math. So they're going to start on the one side, add it up, go to the 10 side and add it up. This box is already here. I want them to see this because they're going to use it when we get to with regrouping. So I don't mind that it's already here. Some students might ask what it is, and I will let them know this is why it's very important that we start on the ones, because soon we're going to have to use that box. So tomorrow, after doing some more practice together, I will send students off, and this will allow me to work with more students who need this extra support. And usually, if they need extra support, that means I am doing it here. So we will spin the numbers, and then we are using these cubes. We're using them in the place value mat and showing what this looks like. So that is what we are up to in math. And I think after that, so tomorrow's already Thursday, so I think Friday, we are already going to dive into our first regrouping lesson. So I'll introduce it. We'll do a lot of that hands-on work together. I definitely made a video last year of some of my activities and how I did that. I will link that here. It's a vlog style video, so it just shares what we're up to, but it also shows exactly how I teach it. Sometimes I even watch the videos again because I'm like, oh yeah. I'm always reminded of my activities and ideas. Thankfully, I have my slides from last year too, so that also helps me remember. But that's what we're up to. I'm going to get dressed for Pilates and head over there. My boys have a basketball game tonight, so I'll do all that fun stuff, and I will pop in tomorrow to let you know what's happening. In that case, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello, happy Thursday. I know I shared quite a bit yesterday about what we are up to with addition, and I think I shared a little bit of phonics too. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, I did. We did our silent E. So today I just wanted to do a quick pop in and just share some of the activities we did today to kind of further that. Today in math, we talked about regrouping. We didn't do double-digit addition with regrouping. We just talked about regrouping those ones into a 10 and some other numbers. It's kind of like the precursor to tomorrow's lesson, where we are going to actually practice adding and regrouping at the same time. So I figured let's start with math. Let me pull up those slides and we can see kind of where we're at. So our objective is we can regroup numbers into tens and ones. We started with our little warm up here. What's the sum? Where I am looking for students to be able to make tens to easily add. So 4 plus 6 plus 4 is 14. And then we did the same thing with 4 numbers. So students were able to quickly see that 6 and 4 make 10 and 5 and 5 make 10. And then I had another student, which I loved. He was like, wait, you could also just take one from up here, put it down to here to make 5, 5, 5, and 5 to make 20. So lots of just great strategies, and we're getting really flexible with our numbers, which is exactly what I'm looking for at this point in the year. Then we had a different type of engage or thinking question where we have 14 plus 9 plus what equals 31. And this is our challenge one. This one came from Math and Focus. So we kind of worked through this together, how we would solve the answer. We added this up first. How many more would make 31? Then what I did is I pulled over just a little mystery bag. I can show you in a second. And I just went ahead and had Unifix cubes, and I did it again with base 10 blocks, so I did it both ways. So let me just grab the bag and I'll show you how we did this. All right, so here's a little setup. We have our 2 mystery bags, one with Unifix cubes, one with some base 10 blocks, just ones, and we have our place value mat, and then I had these on the side. So I told students, okay, we have a mystery bag, and I started with this one, and I was like, I'm gonna dump these out, and we're gonna see how many are in here. So dumped them right out. And I said, okay, we have all these ones here. Let's go ahead and put them in our ones place. And then we are going to see how many we have. So we started to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've already talked about how grouping into tens and ones makes it faster. So we have our 10, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I said, okay, we have 14 ones here. What number is this? And everyone said 14. And then I said, when we look at our place value chart, once we have 10, we cannot keep it in the ones place. We actually have to regroup it, and we move it here. So then I stacked all these up. Let me do that. As I was stacking them, I was telling students how if I take this and put it over here into our tens place, now when I look at this number, I see 1 10 and 4 ones. What number is this? And they say 14. And I asked them, is 1 10 and 4 ones the same as 14 ones? And they're like, yes, it's the same. That's why we call it regrouping. We're not adding a 10. We're not taking anything away, even though we're just moving it. We are regrouping it to make it look a little different. We have our 1 10 and our 4 ones. So I did that all with them. And then I said, all right, I have another mystery bag here. And I said, I have a little something different types of cubes inside. And we dumped these all out here. And I said, okay, let me take a look at this number. Let's figure out what we have. Does it look like we can make a 10? And they said, yes. So we went ahead, and with these, I just fill up the tens frame real quick. I was able to make a 10. And then I looked at the rest. Is that right? Yeah. Then I looked at the rest and said, can we make another 10? And they said, no. And I said, okay, so what do I need to do? Here we can see that we have 10 and 5, so it's 15. I have 15 ones. But I can't have 10 ones in the ones place. I need to move it. So then I showed them, here's another tool we have, and these are base 10 blocks, and this one's called a rod or a 10. So what I can do is I can actually take these, move them off of the mat. I'm not getting rid of them. I am not subtracting them, and I'm not adding this. I'm just exchanging it. I'm regrouping it. And then, of course, we go over how this is actually, the same exact thing. It's 10 ones, but we stack it into a 10. And now we have our 10 and 5 ones. And then again, we say, is 15 ones the same as a 10 and 5 ones? Yes, it's just regrouped now the way it should be. Once we did that, I had students just look at a representation of it on the board. So they had some visuals here, and we talked about, again, look here, I have 14 ones, just like I did earlier. But we know 14 is a 10 and a 4. So we can actually put that 10 right here and our 4 ones. This is how we put it. So 14 equals 14 ones, or 1 10 and 4 ones. Then I had everybody get back in a circle and I shared one of my favorite games, which is Race to 50. So I showed them how we play this, where essentially we have player 1 and player 2. I'll insert some pictures here of kids playing. Students love this game. All they do is take turns rolling one die and they go ahead and add the cubes. As they add ones, they have them face up like this, but every time they make a 10, they have to regroup and they have to say, regroup when they do it and stack it and then lay it down. So it kind of fits perfectly for all these cubes to turn into a 10 and lay it down horizontally. Also, when I walk around, I'm always asking students to, I'm like, pause, tell me exactly how many you have here. And I'm looking for them to say 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or for them to just look and say 14, 17, for them to know and not count up every single cube, but to count those 10s. That is a favorite game of ours, and the kids really, really enjoyed it. So not everybody got to 50 by the end of the 10 minutes, but everybody, once the 10-minute timer was up, they just saw who was farther, and that person was the winner. And then tomorrow, so we ended the lesson. We still had like 5 minutes after that, and they did just a practice independent sheet where they did some double-digit practice again without regrouping, where they start in the ones, a little stack math, and then go to the 10s. And then tomorrow we're going to kick off the lesson with a review, and we're going to play that game again. We're going to play Race to 50 again for 10 minutes. That's how we'll start off our lesson. And then I'm going to talk about actually regrouping 2-digit numbers, which will be a trickier concept. So I'm going to start that tomorrow. That'll definitely pick up again next week. Maybe in next week's video, I'll go, if you're interested, if you want to know, I will go into detail about how to teach addition with regrouping. So I can do that next week. I was trying to look up what else we did today, and basically we're still working on that silent E. So we had our review of the vowel sounds and sounds. We read our words and made sure that they made sense. All our words with silent E on the end. Our word of the day was brave. We used that in a sentence and we added it to our journals. And then our 3 heart words were friend, other, and another. And I just did a whole video a couple weeks ago on how I teach sight words. It looks like this right here in the middle of the screen. Boop. That video is where I go over exactly kind of how we do this. We read the words in sentences, we talk about what they mean, and then we always practice writing them too before we add them to our journals to reuse. Those are really the main things we are teaching this week, that silent E, and then again, that addition. This is our doozy of a unit, so it's a big one. I'm trying to think, in writing, we did plan out, we kind of brainstormed one of our favorite holidays to write about because we're going to start our personal narratives. So we brainstormed our favorite holiday memory, and then we talked about who was there, what we did, why we loved it so much, when it happened, because tomorrow we're going to take that idea and that brainstorm and we're going to plan out the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So that will be on the docket for tomorrow. It's Friday, so we have some fun games that we're playing in each subject area. My students love games. They learn a lot during games, and it's also makes the day go by a little faster, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, after tomorrow, we'll be done with the first week back from vacation, which is always a hard one to get through. And now we've got 7 more weeks to go. We've got 7 strong weeks to keep building up these skills. And then I feel like after April vacation, it feels like the end of the year, which I know that's not true. There's still so much time after that, but things just really fly. So this, I feel like, is the biggest bulk of our year to really hone in on those skills, and I'm excited for that. If you have any questions about today's video, please let me know down in the comments. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.